Hi, you're welcome to my channel. My name is Nike and I live in Canada. I immigrated from Nigeria almost 3 years ago. Today, I want to talk about 5 money mistakes that new immigrants make when they move to a new country. Moving to a new country is exciting, but let's be real, it's also expensive. And if you're not careful, you can waste hundreds or even thousands of dollars, in your first year or even 2, 3 years down the lane. I know because I made some of these mistakes myself when I first came here. So in this video, I'm going to share the 5 biggest money mistakes new immigrants make, and more importantly, how you can avoid them. So I would like you to stick around, to the end, because the mistake number 5 is one that almost everyone, make or overlooks. And at the end of the day, we fall victim of it. Mistake number 1, it would be overspending on accommodation. That's housing, right? The mistake number 1 is overspending on housing. Instead of people to, spend according to their means or according to their budget, they tend to want to live, maybe their lifestyle that they were living back home. They want to also continue living that way here in Canada. And there they would want to, rent a perfect apartment or house right away. But the truth is, renting is one of the biggest expenses that you face here in the Western world. Instead of rushing, into the most expensive option, you can start small, especially when you have considered the number of family that you have. If you can share, if you are maybe single, a student, or maybe just a little member of family, you can share an apartment with some people. Maybe share an apartment with roommates or choose a more affordable neighborhood until you're financially stable. That extra few hundreds of dollars that you save each month can, go straight into your savings or even your emergency fund. That is number 1. Number 2 is not learning, the banking system. Mistake number 2 is not learning the banking system, how the banking system works. When I first came, I had no idea about, some hidden charges or hidden fees, overdrafts, or even uh, which bank accounts were best for newcomers. I lost money just by not getting, or knowing the right information before opening an account. So ask about newcomer packages when you go into the bank, because all this information are actually readily available. It's only when we don't get to ask questions, nobody is going to give us that information if we don't ask, right? So when you go into the banks, ask about newcomers packages and compare banks. Better yet, look into online banks that offer no monthly fees. A few hours of research, it really can save us hundreds of dollars, every year. If we're able to just take that time or take the pain to do some research, you are going to get a lot of more information, and that would make you your informed. It will help you in making your informed decisions when it comes to choosing the bank that you want to bank with as you're landing in that new country. Mistake number 3 that I want to talk about is also not building credit early. That mistake is something that all of us want to run away from, because they say it's a credit society, which there's nothing anybody can do about that. That's the way they run their society, not building your credit early. Many new immigrants they want to pay only with cash or using their debit card. But in Canada, like in Canada that I am, and many other countries in the Western world, your credit score affects everything. Renting an apartment, buying a car, even getting approved for a cell phone plan. Sometimes this can affect your credit score, is going to affect that. Even mortgage, we all know definitely is going to affect your mortgage. So the fix is simple. Just apply for a secure credit card. in your first month. Use it for small purchases and pay it off in full every month, because the report comes every month and there's an amount you're meant to pay. In fact, whatever you have used out of the card, you are meant to pay it back on a monthly basis. So that gives you a credit score. You're building your credit little by little. So this builds your credit history quickly and saves you a lot of stress, later on as you are settling down in the country. Now, mistake number 4 that I want to also talk about is sending too much money back home. Some people call it black tax. Yeah, I even forget to use that term most of the time. I don't remember that actually, but that's the mistake number 3 that I want to talk about. This mistake number 3 is sending too much money back home. I get it. When you move abroad, there is pressure to support family and friends, financially, even your co-workers back home. But if you are not careful, you would end up with nothing left for yourself. I repeat that. If you are not careful, you are going to be left with nothing for yourself. And those people would not understand what you are going through over here. The solution is decide on a fixed percentage of your income that goes back home and just stick to it. It's like having a budget for how much that you plan or that you want to be sending back home on a monthly basis. You need to do that. You can't overemphasize. I can't overemphasize on that. I can't say too much on that. Prioritize building your own financial foundation first. Because if you are broke, you won't be able to help anyone in the long run. Do you get that? If you are broke, you are not going to be able to help anyone in the long run. So take note of that. Now, mistake number 5 is we don't always have emergency fund. Emergency fund, which is very, very important, which is the final mistake. Or, of course, there are more mistakes, but those are the 5 ones that I want to talk about today. Not planning for emergencies. Unexpected expenses always comes up. We don't know what's going to happen in the next minute. So we should have an emergency fund by the side, like medical bills, car repairs, or even, let's say, you lose your job because life happens. Hey, yeah. Without a safety net, it's easy to fall into debt. Even if it's just $500 or $1,000 to start with, build a small emergency fund. Think of it as a financial life jacket. You hope you don't need it. But, you hope you won't need it. But you'll be glad it's there when something happens. So don't forget that we should have emergency fund saved somewhere. So let me recap the 5 money mistakes that I just talked about. Let's quickly recap on that. The first one is don't overspend on housing. Depending on the family size that you have, you don't have to overspend. You can share an apartment or you can look for a cheap neighborhood. We have them all around. Yeah, you can always get that to buffer your finances and save instead of wasting money on high apartment or building that you want to rent when you are not financially stable yet. Build your credit early. Like I said, you need to build your credit early because you can't do without it in this society. Now, know your banking, all the information about the banking that you want to go into, know about them. And then be smart about how much you send back home. Yeah? Send money back home wisely without forgetting yourself, especially in the financial or financial wise, right? And always have an emergency fund, something that you can always fall back on in case if life happens. You can always run back to that. Now, if you found this helpful, please hit the like button so more people can see it and subscribe, because I'll be sharing more practical tips to help immigrants like me and people out there to thrive financially in Canada and even around the world, right? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video because I have so much more coming your way. Bye. Thank you.